You walk into the room, you have the slides, the data, and an idea that you are convinced will be a game changer for your product, your team, and perhaps the whole company. You open your mouth, you start clicking through the graphs and bullet points, only to get blank stares. The sneaky phone checks under the table, the polite vacant nods from the execs you desperately need on your side. By the end, you get a interesting, let us think about it, which is usually corporate speak for no. If that sounds even a little familiar, you know how incredibly frustrating it is. You have a vision that's crystal clear to you, but you feel like you're speaking a different language than your stakeholders. You're talking about features and sprints. They're thinking about timelines and ROI. You're showing them a solution, but they aren't even sold on the problem yet. A brilliant idea is worthless if you can't get anyone to listen. The biggest mistake product managers make isn't building the wrong thing, it's failing to convince people to build the right thing. We think our job is to present data, and don't get me wrong, data can be very powerful, but our job is to tell a story using that data. And for the last decade, I've seen one simple storytelling framework get executives to put down their phones and actually champion a vision. It's not about more data or fancier slides, it's about changing how you communicate. You can use the three steps that I will show you next. First things first, you have to build a story. This is where most PMs trip up. We start with our brilliant solution because we love its features and can't wait to show them off. But your stakeholders don't care about your solution yet. They care about business goals, expensive problems, and things that make their lives easier. So you don't start with your idea. You start with a problem. And you frame that problem as the villain of the story, a villain that's costing the company. Think like a screenwriter. Every great story has a conflict. You need to set the scene and then introduce the villain. So don't say, we need to build a new dashboard. Instead, try this. Our customer support team is spending 30% of their day just pulling data from three different systems. This blows up our ticket resolution time by 40%. It's not just inefficient, it's costing us our best customers. Churn for accounts over 50,000 jumped 15% last quarter because of slow support. The first statement is a request. The second is a story with a clear villain, inefficiency, and real painful consequences, lost time and lost money. You have to quantify the pain in a language your stakeholders understand. Executives think in numbers. They want to know the return on investment, the impact on market share, or how this moves the needle on strategic goals. Once you've made the villain real, your solution isn't just a cool idea anymore. It becomes the hero. It's the logical answer to the problem you just painted so vividly. Now, when you introduce your idea, you frame it by its benefits, not its features. Don't say, my idea is a unified dashboard with real time data integration. Say, we're going to eliminate all that context switching. We'll build a single source of truth that gives our support team instant access to customer history, cutting resolution times in half, and directly tackling the churn that's costing us hundreds of thousands. This is where you drop the 8-word mission. You need to boil your entire proposal down to one powerful sentence. Something like streamline support workflows to cut high value churn by 15%. This isn't just a tagline, it's the anchor for your entire story. And finally, every story needs proof. You need data, but make sure you show the data using visuals. A single chart showing that rising churn rate, a powerful one sentence quote from a frustrated customer, maybe even a 20-second screen recording of the clunky, painful process you're going to fix. People remember a compelling story, not a spreadsheet. Your goal here is to create a narrative so strong that saying yes feels completely obvious. Once your story is solid, it's time to pressure test it. This isn't about asking people if they like your idea. It's about actively looking for objections before you get into that high stakes meeting. Too many PMs build their pitch in a silo, then walk in hoping for the best. A great presentation is just a formality. The real work happens beforehand. So the meeting is for confirming buy in, not starting a debate. First, get ahead of the objections. You already know what they're going to be. Is it too expensive? Will it delay another project? Is the engineering team slammed? Address these head on in your pitch before anyone has a chance to ask. For instance, if you know cost is a concern, say, I know this is a significant engineering investment. That's why we broke down the ROI based on retaining just three high value customers who are about to churn. This project pays for itself in 6 months. By hitting the objection with a data driven answer up front, you disarm the criticism and build trust. Here's a modern hack for this. Use AI as your sparring partner. This can be a game changer. Feed your script to an AI tool and prompt it. You are a skeptical CFO, give me 3 reasons you'd reject this. Or you're the head of engineering, tell me why this roadmap is a fantasy. The AI tool can give you instant feedback showing you blind spot you've missed because you're too close to the project. Second, you need to do a pre meeting roadshow. Never let the big pitch be the first time key stakeholders hear your idea. Set up quick 15-minute calls with each decision maker some days or weeks in advance. The key here is that your goal isn't to present to them, it's to ask their advice and make them a co creator. Say something like, I'm working on a plan to tackle our churn problem, and I know you have a unique take on our market. I'd love to get your thoughts before I get too far. This does two things. First, it makes them feel heard and respected, turning them from an audience into a collaborator. Second, you get priceless intel on their concerns, which you can then address privately. When you finally give the official presentation and get to the slide that includes their idea, you can say, and thanks to a great suggestion from Sarah, we're prioritizing the CRM integration to give the sales team more context. Now, Sarah isn't a critic, she's your ally in the room. You've engineered the buy in long before the meeting started. By the way, if you're finding this framework useful, go ahead and hit the subscribe button. I drop videos every week with practical, no fluff advice for PMs who want to make a real impact. This is what they don't teach you in those certification courses, so make sure not to miss it. Okay, you've crafted a great story and you've pre-wired your stakeholders for a yes. Now for the final step, the delivery. This is where so many smart but understandably nervous PMs fall apart. They treat the presentation like a formality, just reading the slides. But your delivery is the pitch. Your confidence, clarity, and passion are also deciding factors. First, keep it short, very short. We're talking 3 to 5 minutes for the core pitch with 7 to 10 slides. Executives have the attention span of a pinball machine. Your job is to make every second count. This means you have to rehearse, not just once, but until you can tell the story cold without your notes. Record yourself on your phone and watch it. Do you sound confident? Are you rambling? Are you saying every 3 seconds? The small details are important. During the delivery, your body language is just as important as your words. Stand tall, make eye contact with people around the room, use your hands to make a point. When you show the slide with a painful churn number, pause for a second. Let the silence make the number feel heavy. You are not a reporter reading facts, you are the passionate champion for a better future. People don't just buy what you're pitching, they buy why you're pitching it. If you don't believe it, why should they? Finally, the most important part of the delivery, the close. You must end with a specific call to action. This is non negotiable. Never end with, so, any questions? It's weak. It gives up all control. You just took them on a journey from a painful problem to an obvious solution. Now tell them exactly what you need. A weak CTA is, I'd love your approval on this. A strong CTA is, I am asking for your approval today to dedicate 2 engineers from the Bristol team to this, starting next quarter, so we can ship this by the end of Q3. Can I count on your support? It's specific, it's time bound, it demands a yes or no, it puts the ball in their court. After your call to action, say your 8-word mission one last time to leave the vision ringing in their ears. With your approval, we can streamline support workflows and cut high value churn by 15%. Then stop talking. Seriously, let them be the one to respond to your clear, confident ask. So let's recap. You don't get buy in with more data or more features. You get it by telling a better story. First, you build the story. Frame the problem as a villain with real business consequences and make your solution the hero. Second, you refine with feedback. Pressure test your narrative by getting ahead of objections using AI as a sparring partner and holding pre meetings to turn stakeholders into allies. And third, you perfect the delivery. Rehearse until it's automatic, communicate with passion, and end with a specific call to action that makes yes the only easy answer. The difference between a PM who gets their ideas shot down and one who gets consistent buy in isn't technical skill, it's the ability to communicate, to influence, and to lead. It's the ability to tell a story that cuts through complexity, engages emotions, and makes your vision feel real. Stop presenting data, start telling stories. You will be amazed at the difference it makes.